So this is the second option that you have been heard talking about during the panel. The first option that Alekos just showed to you was on a normal Linux system, maybe on a device like that, and this will be on an Android device. Of course, one of the things that now Udi will explain to you is that a normal Android cell phone has the problem of storage usually, so you can use like a smart TV or something like that, or a cell phone with an SD, or a cell phone with some kind of connection with an external drive. But this is very cool because it means that probably even if you don't buy something like this or a Raspberry Pi, you already have a dedicated machine, an old dedicated machine at home somewhere that you can use to actually run a Bitcoin validating full node.
All right, we're good?
Great.
Right.
Thank you, Udi.
Right. Udi, are you connected? All right. Oh no, you want to connect to the... No need. Cool. All right, we're all set. Thank you, guys. Everyone hear me? Yeah? No? Yes? No? Okay, great, great. Yeah. Okay, so thanks for coming. This is ABCore. Netflix and Sync. Yeah. Okay, so let's start. Before I start about ABCore, just a short story, right? So a little while ago, Giacomo shoots me a message. And he says, hey, Udi, do you want to maybe come over to Malta and talk about Bitcoin ABC? And so I said, look, Bitcoin ABC is a Bcash implementation. What are you talking about? Are you maybe on the wrong Sock Puppet account? Or maybe you mean ABCore. So yeah, so he meant ABCore. ABCore is maybe not the best name. I think it means Android Bitcoin Core. I think that's what it means. It was started by Lawrence Nahum in 2015, and it's basically a wrapper for Bitcoin Core that you can install on Android. So it's an app, just a usual app that you can install on your Android phone or tablet or on a TV box that runs Android. And it runs Bitcoin Core for you, and it sets some things up so it's a little easier to handle. And well, it's very experimental. When I'll show you soon, the first thing you'll probably think is, wow, this UI is very basic, and a lot of stuff there is experimental. So don't run a Bitcoin exchange on top of ABCore right now. But I think it's a good tool to start learning and start trying, playing around with a Bitcoin node before you actually do the whole setup that Lekos just showed us. And it can also be used for other stuff. So yeah, but why? Why would you run like on an Android device? So there are a few reasons you may want to do that. So one of them is maybe you have, we saw a demo of the green wallet earlier, so maybe you have some wallet on your phone and you want, instead of using SPV, which is not so secure, maybe you want to use a full node. And if you have a lot of space on your phone, then you can do that. But it's going to use a lot of CPU power, so maybe your battery will run out a little fast, so you should be thinking about that. Another option is running it on a TV box, which is something like this. It's really small. It's basically, it's a streamer box that you connect to your TV to watch Netflix and whatever, but it can run Android apps, so it can be used there. And it's usually like a little more powerful than a Raspberry Pi, not a lot more powerful, but a little bit more powerful. And a nice thing about Android is that it allows like a little isolation between apps. So Alekos showed you that you should set a different owner, a different Linux user for your Bitcoin setup to keep things separate. So Android kind of does it for free and automatically between all your apps, so you can't Another app can't, by mistake, change the Bitcoin Core data, so that's nice. It's not as robust as the virtualization solution that he was talking about in the end, but it's better than nothing. And of course, the reason you want to use a full node at all is because they're the most secure and private way to use Bitcoin, and we talked about this before. So yeah, so there are various kinds of Android TV boxes that you can use if you want to try this. One is like the sort of unofficial Chinese brands that you can find in mostly Chinese retail websites. And they have this, they use this open source version of Android, which usually doesn't include a lot of the Google stuff. And the UI for them isn't very great because it's usually meant for phones and they just stretch it out on the whole TV. And it can't use like Netflix, right? So if you want to use this device to use Netflix, you'll only get like standard definition resolution. But they're pretty cheap, so that's one option. Another option is like the official, Google has this program for Android TV. I don't want to give too much advertisement for it, but just so that you know what you can buy. So they have like a specific UI that they made for TVs and for people watching TV and so on. And it has official full 4K support in Netflix and other apps. And the cheaper boxes like this one, they cost like $49 or $59. And if you factor in the fact that it has like a casing and it has an AC adapter in the box and it has like some small built-in storage and stuff, then it's actually usually cheaper than a Raspberry Pi, because a Raspberry Pi you have to buy all of the accessories with it. So it's a very good price. It's not, you know, it's not the best TV experience you can get, but it's a good price. And it has like an official Google Play Store that you can use. And one nice thing about these is, well, I mentioned this before, so many times when you subscribe to a TV service, which is over the internet, they give you one of these boxes for free. And also some TVs already have them integrated. So they have Android in the TV, Sony TVs, and I think Panasonic TVs have Android integrated. So you can just, you know, a lot of people already have everything they need and it's already running and they can just install a node. And there's another platform called Fire TV. I never tried it with ABCore, but it should work. It's also Android-based, and it's pretty popular in the States. Okay, so we've been talking about how you can run on Android, but some of you are probably sort of thinking, okay, but I don't have any storage on my Android device to run a full node, right? So, sir, please, my storage. Yeah, so full nodes, we are told that full nodes require 200 gigabytes at least for storage, but it's not exactly true. You can run a prune node, and a prune node can be much, much lighter on storage. And what a prune node is, basically, it means that it validates all of the blocks. You have to download them all, and you have to validate them all, but it keeps throwing out blocks after they're validated. It doesn't keep old blocks, because you don't need them. All you want is the final state, the final UTXO set that can tell you which coins belong to which person. So you don't need all the history. So if you don't care about the history, and mostly you usually shouldn't care about the history too much, you can run a prune node and it just dumps everything after it's verified. So by default, ABCore is set to keep the last 1 gigabyte, the last 1,000 megabytes of blocks. So it's pruned by default. And you can set it even lower to 550 megabytes if you want. The reason you even have this small archive of blocks is to protect against reorgs in the Bitcoin blockchain. So let's say, you know, you saw like 6 blocks, and then for some reason the last 6 blocks were orphaned and replaced by other 6 blocks. This is super rare, right? It almost never happens, but it can happen for 1 or 2 blocks pretty frequently. But let's say there's a big event that for some reason a lot of blocks are rolled back. So if you keep all the historic blocks, you can easily roll them back and sync again to the next stage. So that's why we're keeping blocks at all. On top of that, there's the UTXO set, which weighs roughly 5 gigabytes. The thing about the UTXO set is that it changes. The UTXO set is, again, is how many, who owns which coins at each point of time. And as your node starts syncing, the UTXO set's size changes based on the point in time that your node is on. And the UTXO set was largest in late 2017 and early 2018, which is the top of the last rally. because there were tons of new UTXO created and not a lot of UTXO destroyed. Since then, it became smaller. But if you're syncing a node from scratch, you're going to have to need the maximum amount that you will need during syncing, because otherwise your node will run out of space during syncing. So we're talking, let's say, around 5 to 6 gigabytes that you would need on your device. And some drawbacks with running a prune node. One that we talked about briefly before is that you can't run, and you can support an SPV client with a pruned node. And it is what it is, but some wallets, and there are going to be more and more of these, can connect to your own full node using watch-only addresses. We talked before about import address, and I'll talk about it again. But they don't use the SPV protocol, and they don't use peer-to-peer protocol. Instead, they tell your node which addresses you care about, and it tracks those and those only, and this way it can sync with them. It can't handle super large reorgs, but that's usually not a huge problem. It can't fully rescan after you sync. So if you synced your wallet and suddenly you remember that there's an old address that you care about, you can't tell your wallet, okay, I need to know about this address too, because it doesn't have the old data to try to compute that. And well, some devices won't even have enough storage for that, right? Some devices won't even have 6 gigabytes. So that's a problem. So if you want more space, there are a few things you could do. One of them is you could get a phone that has a ton of space. The new phones, it's almost ridiculous. The latest Galaxy phone has a model with 1 terabyte of space. I don't know if anyone ever bought this thing, but it exists. So there are ways to get around that. And some TV boxes have like hard drives inside. But you can connect a USB hard drive, or if it's a phone, you can connect micro SD to most phones, and you can get more space that way. Okay, so how do you install ABCore? So you go to this website and you see 3 links, right? The first one is Google Play. Just you download the app normally through the Play Store. And if you do that, you kind of trust Google, like with any other app that you use. You trust Google to give you the app that you think you're getting. But there's a good thing about it and a bad side thing about it. The good thing is you don't have to verify signatures yourself. The bad thing is that you're inherently trusting Google. But if you're on a phone, it's usually what most people do anyway. So that's one way. Another way is F-Droid. F-Droid is an alternative app store. It's only for free and open source apps. So you can use that. You can actually download the F-Droid store from Google Play and then download some free apps and open source apps from there. But that's your choice. Some people have like a phone where they flashed the ROM and installed some other variant of Android, and they don't have the Play Store, so they can use F-Droid if they want. And the last option, there's also a link to download the APK file, the app file itself, directly from GitHub, and then you can install it on your device through sideloading, which means either through a USB, or you mail it to yourself, or you open it in a browser on your device. So that's another option. If you choose to go down the route of sideloading, so downloading the app yourself and installing it, you should definitely verify. So we talked about verifying before, and by the way, you may want to take a picture of the slide so that you're able to verify. And you're basically running the top command, which is APK signer, and you verify the APK file, which is the app file that you downloaded. And it will. This is something you do on a computer, of course. And then it will show you these lines which said that it's signed by Lawrence Nahum, and critically that this is the hash of his certificate. So if you see this hash, you're good. Okay. So ways to use it. The first way, which is something you can do if you get one of these TV boxes, is to tether a mobile wallet. So you get some mobile wallet and you connect with it remotely to your TV box at home. So you have some box at home, you connect to it, and your wallet no longer uses SPV, it now uses your own full node to back it. Another option is to use it locally on your actual phone, just like you saw before in the green address demo. So you install ABCore locally. It has to be not pruned, so you'll need to have a lot of space for it. And you can, so wallets that support SPV like Blockstream Green, and I think BRD2 Bread, and probably some others, you can set like one node that you want to connect to, and you can set that you want only this one node, and then you just input this. So 127.001 means localhost, means your machine that you're using, and this is the port number. You put it in and it should just work as long as ABCore is running. And you know, I know of at least a few wallets that are not SPV and are gonna allow you to do that too, and hopefully this should be pretty soon. The last way you can use ABCore is the reckless way, which is using ABCore itself as a wallet. Be very careful because it's experimental. I don't recommend it, but you can use it to play around with it, and we'll play around with it a bit now too. So you can try like very small amounts and learn how a Bitcoin Core or full node works using software that is easy for you to install. Some settings that you can set, we'll see it in a minute. So again, as we said, there's pruning, and you can decide how much pruning you want. Another setting is blocks only. So blocks only means that this is mostly useful for phones, right? Maybe not the TV box that you have at home, but it's very useful for phones. If you want to save bandwidth, not spend too much bandwidth from your mobile plan or whatever, you can turn on blocks only, and it will only download blocks. It will not download and relay transactions that are not in a block. So you won't have like a mempool in your block. You will only hear about transactions when a block is confirmed. So, and this is on by default. And some stuff to try, we'll try some of them soon. So one is if you're going to use it as a wallet, and again, you should only use it as a wallet for testing purposes. But if you're going to use it as a wallet, you should probably encrypt your wallet. And this is true for any Bitcoin Core implementation you're going to use. So you should probably encrypt your wallet. You type encrypt wallet, then a passphrase, which should be strong, and then your wallet will be encrypted. And that means you won't be able to spend funds until you try the second command, which is wallet passphrase, and you supply the password that you chose and some timeout that you will be allowed to make transactions. So when the timeout passes, the wallet becomes locked again. And again, this is true for even if you follow Alekos' guide and install Bitcoin Core locally, you're going to have to do the same things. There's a backup wallet command. You can back up your wallet. This is just some easy to access folder on your Android devices. We'll see it in a second. So you can back up your wallet file there and then copy it somewhere else. Again, please only use very, very tiny funds for this. Don't do it on ABCore right now. So get new address. We'll give you a new address from your ABCore wallet that you can use and receive funds to. We talked before about import address. We talked about it in the panel. So import address means you give it an address that's not in the keys of your own wallet, right? So maybe you have a Trezor, and on your Trezor you have like some address that you're going to accept funds to. So you use import address just to let your full node know that you're interested in this address, and it starts looking about it starts watching transactions that are gotten by this address, and then you can check your balance and have it confirmed by your own node. So you'll say import address and then the address itself. You can give it a label, or this can be an empty string if you want. And the last word false means don't rescan. It could be true. You can set it to true, and then the node will look for transactions that happened in the past on the same address. But if you don't want to see all transactions because maybe you just generated the address, then you can specify false, and it will be a lot faster. If you specify true, it will have to do a rescan, which can take many hours or maybe days if your hardware is slow. So you should probably use false and just keep adding new addresses that you've never used before. Quick note though, while doing this demo, I realized that there's a bug in the console in ABCore that won't allow you to use import address as you see it, so you'll be able to use it in the next release. Get balance just shows you your internal balance in your own ABCore node, and you have a list received by address that will show you the amounts that you received in each address, so kind of a transaction history. Yeah, and send to address allows you to send funds. And yeah, that's enough talking. Let's see it in action. So first things first, right now I have a USB key plugged into my computer, and it has already the APK file, the app file for ABCore, and I'm just going to show you what it looks like when you try to verify the SIG. So yeah, so it's APK Signer. You probably won't have APK Signer installed, so to get it, you can Google like install APK Signer, but basically you'll probably install the Android SDK or something like that. So you type APK Signer, verify, print certs, and then the actual file name, and you'll see a lot of warnings. You can ignore them. What's important is that at the beginning you see these lines, and specifically the digest that I showed you before in the slide. So if you see this exact string, then you're good. So that's the first step. Next step, I'll connect the actual box so that you can see what's going on. In the meantime, anyone knows any good jokes? No? Okay. Roger Ver. Thank you. Thank you. This is live. This is being recorded. Okay. So yeah. So this is like just an Android TV box. It has like a lot of stuff for watching TV and playing games or whatever. And I'm going to just plug in the USB device. And so before I did that, I installed a file explorer. So you can go to the Google Play Store on the device and download some file explorer. The Play Store here does not have ABCore. If you download it from your phone, you will find ABCore. You won't find it on the TV boxes because Google kind of picks very specifically which apps they allow there, but maybe it will be there one day. So for now, you have to sideload. You'll want to open a file explorer. I downloaded some file explorer. Maybe you'll want to choose another one because this one is full of ads and kind of scammy, but doesn't matter. So yeah, this is a file explorer, and I'll quickly select the USB device, and I select the APK file and install. So yeah, I click install. It was down there, and actually I didn't mean to click install, but I want to show you something. Just a second. There's security. Okay, never mind. I'm not sure where it is. The point is, I already have it installed. When you try installing it the first time, it will ask you. It will tell you, look, this is not an app that Google knows. So if you want to install it, you should allow installing unverified apps from an unknown location. So you click OK. It takes you straight to the setting that you have to change. You enable the setting, and you're thrown back and allowed to install. So it's very simple. After you're done with that, so you're gonna want to start the app. So usually apps on Android TV they have like a special screen where you can see them. ABCore won't show there because it's not built for TVs. So you have to go to settings and then go to apps, and here you see a list of apps. And in a moment, I'll tell you how you can start ABCore. But before that, in some of the boxes, they have, like this one, they have very, very little storage. But it just so happens that this one, it's the Xiaomi Mi Box S. So it just so happens that if you uninstall everything that comes with it It's just enough to sync the node fully. So if you want to try that without USB stick, then the way that you would remove apps is you just go into an app here and you can uninstall. And even in the ones that are system apps, some of them, not all of them, but some of them, you'll have to go through them, but some of them you can uninstall updates, and that saves some space too. So you will probably be better off just expanding the storage with the USB, but you could do that if you want to. So to start ABCore, you select ABCore and you click open. And the first thing you'll see, I'm not going to show it here, but when you start it for the first time, instead, by the way, I know this is really beautiful. It was built for a phone, right? For a phone that you hold in your hand. So it's larger than it was meant to be. Usually you would see in the center a button that just says download Bitcoin Core. You click it, it takes a few seconds, it checks SIGs by itself, you don't have to check SIGs for it. And then it switches to this kind of switch that you can use to turn on the node. In our case, it's already synchronized. You can see this is the latest block height. So we have everything we need. You can also see in the settings so you have settings and you can select Bitcoin configuration. I hope you can see that. And there are a few things we talked about here. So you have the pruning turned on, you have blocks only turned on by default. The pruning size that you can change, you can make it smaller or larger as you see fit. You could, if you want to just play around and not risk any money, you could turn on testnet and just do everything on testnet. So those are the settings you can use. And so let's try a few tricks. You could do. So you go to console. One second. It's a little bit involved because there are a lot of parts that I'm using here. So this is just a tiny keyboard so that I can type more easily. Okay, so one thing you could do just when starting out, you could type, I hope you can see that I'm typing down there. You can type backup wallet and then just supply some place to store it. That's just a directory on my device. And specifically for this command, you're not going to see anything, but it saved the file that you can access with the File Explorer and then copy over to another USB device and just save as a backup. Then, you can type like get new address. And you get a Bitcoin address that you can give out and people can send funds there. Again, please only use this with only testnet or small funds for now. Next command that you might want to try. So after you received some funds, and I cheated it, I sent myself some funds before. Probably typo. Sorry. So you can see the address up there. You can see it says list received by address. Then it shows an address, and it gives you the amount that was received. You can see it's pretty small. It has like 95 confirmations by now, and it shows you the transaction ID. So if you want, you can check it out and play with that. And the nice thing is, we didn't ask any external server for this. We didn't do anything. Everything is done locally on our device. So it's both trusted. You can trust that it's real data, and also you didn't lose any privacy when looking for this information. And by the way, these same commands you can use with any Bitcoin node, not just ABCore. So this is pretty much the things you can do. Another thing, after we fix that little bug, another thing you can try to do is, again, use import address to put an address that you don't have the key for here, and then you can track it with your node. And yeah, that's it for this demo. I keep switching cables. I don't know about you, but it's pretty scary. I never know if things will show up, but I'm hopeful.
Another joke?
Yeah, we can do another joke. I'm almost done. Okay, great. So what's next for ABCore? As you see, it's pretty rough, right? You can use it, but it's pretty rough. So first thing I think we want to work on is having a possibility to easily integrate with local mobile wallets on your phone. So we showed you with green address you can do it, but it's kind of fiddly. You have to enter the settings manually. So this will, I hope, will have a better version and a better way to do it, like easily and friendly. And I think that another thing we'll want to add pretty soon is a simple UI that instead of like fidgeting with these commands, you could do like simple things like add a watch-only address without going to the console. Longer term, and this will take a while, but you know, it would be interesting to think about integrating Lightning into this, so you can install one app and get a Lightning node too, but this will be a while. I'd love to see like a more robust UI for the wallet, but again, this will take time so that you could actually use the wallet without typing anything and be, you know, feel safe about it. And that's pretty much it. So one quick thing, if some of you happen to be Android developers or even beginning Android developers, or maybe someone at home, and you want to contribute to Bitcoin and not sure how, then this can be an relatively easy way to kind of, you know, because ABCore isn't a very complex project. So you can add like small stuff that really change the experience. The last release had like small bug fixes that made it finally possible to use them on these boxes. It wasn't really possible before. So those are small bugs or small changes that can really make it finally useful for people. So if you want to contribute, we're filling up the issues page in GitHub with some ideas of ways to contribute. Yeah, and that's it. Thank you.